Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Ask Coach Roy. Today, the subject is about real estate. Real estate is a field I was in about 27 years, and we have a multi-million dollar broker with us today, Miss Juanita Bradford with J.C. Bradford Realty, and we're going to get the inside scoop of what's going on in real estate today. I'll start by asking Ms. Bradford two simple questions to line everything up. Ms. Bradford, are you an agent or a broker?
I'm a broker.
Okay. What's the difference between an agent and a broker?
A broker has their own company. They're in charge of the agents.
Mm-hmm.
They're responsible for all the actions of the agents out in the field. And the broker is the CEO, most times the owner.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going on in this market since we're dealing with the COVID, where sellers, it's a seller's market.
Correct.
Meaning these sellers are getting full price.
Yes.
But in this market, something I've never seen before, it appears that they're getting over the listed price. Could you explain what's going on?
Well, right now, with the way the market is going, buyers are bidding higher,
Mm-hmm.
and with them bidding higher, buyers are having to bring money to the table. So, for instance, I'll give an example. If you have a house that's $500,000 on the market for $500,000, but the bids are coming in, and right now we're having, say, anywhere from 38 to, say, 50 offers on one property. And with that
Really?
being said, yes. And with that being said, people are bringing money to the table anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 over the asking price. So a house that's on the market for $500,000, it may go for, say, $535,000, but they are bringing the difference if it does not appraise. So you cannot drive up. The appraisal still drives how much the property will go for. But if you want to pay more, which people are paying more, then you bring that extra money to the table.
So help me to understand. Basically, if a property appraised for is listed for $500, it appraises for $500. The purchaser makes an offer for $535.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer can pay the $35,000 more.
Correct.
And in addition to that, they have to pay the 5% down or 10%, depending on which loan program they use.
Or 3.5, whatever their loan program is.
Now, I know a little too much to be dangerous, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I noted that 5% has to be seasoned, meaning it has to sit in a banking account 2-3 months.
Correct.
Okay, what about the additional $35,000?
Well, it cannot be a gift. It needs to be money that is also sitting in the account. If you're short, say, if it's $30,000 and you're short to $5,000 and you have a mother, father, immediate relative, they can give you that money in gift. And with that being said, they will have to show, different documents for that to come from that family member. But otherwise, it needs to be seasoned in your own bank account.
Okay. Now, one thing I could see as a potential problem with that is when buyers are making offers and they know they're making $35,000 more than the list price.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's up to the agent at that point to disclose to them that this is money that has to be in the bank and it needs to be sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But per my personal experience with buyers, they will say, I got the money.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go through the mortgage company and you're going through the process, then the mortgage loan officer will end up calling the agent and saying, hey, they just put the money in the account.
Yeah, that at times it can be that way, but most times if you have a good relationship with the lender, then you've already discussed what they can and cannot do and what's there so that you'll know when you're making the offer so that you don't have a hiccup because it could delay the closing.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, now on the flip side of that, who's paying the closing costs?
In this market, the buyers are paying the closing costs as well.
And for our viewers that don't understand, exactly what is closing costs?
Closing costs is fees, lenders' fees, property taxes, escrow, survey, yeah, different things
appraisal.
that's gonna affect. Most of the time, you pay the appraisal outside of the closing costs, but it's the fee that goes in there too. So yeah, so right now the buyers are paying the closing costs. The sellers are not even willing to do it.
So then that means they have to have the 5% down, the $35,000 over the price,
And
plus the closing costs.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the closing cost is normally 2.5 to 3% of the sales price?
Correct. 3% most times.
So with that being said, the closing costs on a $500,000 house could potentially be, what, $15,000?
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
So you come to the table with possibly 50, whatever
Yeah.
the end is, that's what you have to come with. But that's when I say again, you have to have a relationship with the lender, and then the lender will tell you what it looks like if you went for this type home.
Okay.
So.
And do you have a personal lender that you deal with and you work hand in hand with so that
I have several.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in the event that you have a buyer, then you decide, how do you decide which lender you're going to send them to?
I don't necessarily just decide. I most times will give them the choice, give them the choice of 3, and then they decide. There are times that if they have an extenuating circumstance, and I'll say this lender will probably work better for you. Okay. But I try not to be the one to choose it, because at the end of the day, that's their choice. You know, they might not like the relationship, so I want everybody to be happy. And sometimes they may come with their own lender, and that's okay as well.
Okay. Well, I know that the most common used loans is either FHA, VA, and conventional.
Yes.
A lot of times I have ran into veterans that say, oh, I'm going to use my VA loan as guaranteed. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, with the VA loan, if you are 100% disabled, there are things that, fees that are waived for you. If you are not 100%, say you're 90 or 80%, then either way, there's no down payment. The closing cost is still yours to pay. If you are the 100% veteran, then you avoid what's called a VA funding fee, and so you don't have to pay the funding fee. Trying to think off my head.
Well, I tell you the one thing that I find that most people, because they use, it says the VA guaranteed. When people tell you guaranteed, that means it's automatic, no questions asked, just go out and find a property.
Well, yes, but you still have to have a credit score.
That's what I was looking for. That's right.
Yes.
You got to have the credit score, and you got to have the debt to ratio.
Yes.
41%.
Yes.
And that 41% includes all your bills. So I'd like to have our viewers to understand, whether it's a FHA, VA, or conventional loan, you have to be careful going out and getting these high car payments.
Yes.
These car payments cut into your buying power.
Yes.
I've had people to get approved for their home, turn around and buy a car just before closing.
Yeah, we may not close. Now we're crying. So that's why you have to have a agent and a lender that you're having a great relationship with, so that they continue to explain to you, once you've gotten approved for your loan, you don't go out and buy really anything.
And that means nothing.
Nothing, because at that time, then, if you do, then you can mess up the fact of being able to close or close on time.
But if I'm approved,
well, if
and I'm getting ready to get this nice house,
but you approve
and I need
based on
a living room suite.
Right, but you approve based on what you have right now. If you need a living room set, then you have to wait until after closing, and then that's when you go and you get your living room set, but not before, because if you do, your debt ratio just changed.
Thank you.
And even if you're paying cash, because a certain amount of money, it depends on the lender, but a certain amount of money can affect the fact that you're taking money out if you even do it with cash. So if you need your cash to close, then you don't want to use that either.
Okay. Even if I know I get, well, let me ask you this, since you said that. What happened if I get a settlement from a car accident and put it in the account, and that's what I'm going to use for my down payment, and I don't disclose where the money is coming from? How does that work?
Well, the lender's going to find out. There are questions that they have to ask.
Okay.
They have to, the underwriter and the lender will ask questions to find out, you know, if it's a large deposit, where it came from. You'll have to show documentation of how it got in there. But that's a relationship between the buyer and the lender. And so I let them have that part. But as far as like just being able to put money in there or large sums, you cannot. You have to have conversations with your lender to make sure that you're putting in the right amounts.
Well, what if the buyer is receiving $1,000 child support?
Then it's
Can
documented.
can that count as
can.
buying power?
It can, if it's been in the account and it's gone in there a certain amount of time.
Would they not have to go to the courthouse and get a printout saying that it's court ordered, or?
Well, if it's coming in there regularly and it has been coming in there, then that's something that they would already have documentation for,
Okay.
and they would already, you know, have provided that to the lender.
You know, some people don't want to use the child support for buying power, and I never understood that. It doesn't matter as long as you're using it to qualify so that you can buy as much house or the amount of house you want to buy.
And I think too with that, it has, like, say for instance, if your child is, say, maybe 16, 15, and it may run out at a certain period, then you may not be able to use it. But
Okay.
again, that's between them and the lender.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to break, and we'll come back. And again, we have Miss Juanita Bradford with us with J.C. Bradford Realty. She's a broker, multi-million-dollar producer, and also she has a very extensive knowledge about the buying process, about lending, and also she can refer you out no matter what state you're moving to. Welcome back to Ask Coach Roy, and I'm Coach Roy. And today We're talking about real estate with Miss Juanita Bradford with J.C. Bradford Realty out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Don't limit her to Lawrenceville, Georgia, because Miss Juanita was telling me at the break that she has the ability to, she's a member of a referral network. And that referral network will allow her to refer buyers out of the state and even buyers that's coming into the state. So if she have your home listed, then it may be a buyer that's out of state that's interested in your house. Miss Juanita, you want to add to that or anything you'd like to say about that?
Pretty much, I'm a member of what's called the ABR, Accredited Buyers Representation, and then I have my SRS designation as well. And so with that, those designations and the WCR Women's Council and CRS designations, what we can do is we have a database that we deal with other agents. And with us doing that, we make sure that the buyers and the sellers, whoever it is, that they get in great hands. And so not just someone that's just maybe doing it however they want to do it. We make sure that we have accredited people to help them. So with those accreditations, with those accreditations, what we do is we make sure that the sellers or buyers, whoever in that area, that they're in someone's hands, and we stay in contact with that agent. And then at that time, we make sure they get in the area that they want. They're with the correct lender and all of that. So we don't just limit ourselves to Georgia. I am licensed in Georgia and North Carolina, but we don't limit ourselves to those states. So we can help worldwide.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you mentioned about the designations behind your name, because I noticed those designations. I think you have something called the veterans something as well.
Yeah.
So you're a specialist in dealing with people with VA loans.
Correct. Well, my husband did 21 years in the military, and so it's dear to my heart as far as helping the veterans and helping veterans get in homes. A lot of veterans don't know that they can get in a home with 0% down. Again, you still have to have a certain credit score. You have to have a certain debt ratio. And with that, you have to have some money. Back in the days, before the way that it is now, seller's market, you could have very little for closing costs because the seller would give you some closing costs.
That's
but
right.
Now you have to at least have, I always ask them to have at least 3%. It could be less or more, and that's not on me, that's on the lender. They will give them those numbers. But at the end of the day, a veteran can get in the house with a very small amount of money.
In comparison to a civilian.
Right, in comparison to someone doing an FHA or conventional or possibly USDA loan.
I'm one of few people, I actually use my VA loan. I'm a veteran as well. I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
I used my VA loan 3 times.
And you can. And you can.
A lot of people don't realize
They
that.
don't realize that they can use it. And so the first home, say if you purchase a first home and you've lived in it and it's not paid for, but you have very little left on it, then you can turn around and rent that home out. And then whatever you have left on your VA loan, then you can turn around and use that difference to purchase another home. But with the first home, you would have had to live in it a certain period of time. And off my head right now, I can't remember that time frame, but there are circumstances that you can use your loan multiple times. We've also used ours twice and about to use it a third time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Now, another thing I'd really like to get a little insight on.
Okay.
Okay, in this market, I was told that sellers are selling their current home and then renting an apartment. Is that true?
It's very true. Rent an apartment, townhome, whatever. People are doing whatever they got to do right now because of the way the market is. It's a seller's market to get your equity back out of the home. And so, say for instance, if someone has family, they may go and live with their family just to sell the home to get the equity back out, because that's your down payment to move to your next place or your closing costs, whatever the case is. So some people want to move to another state. Some people have extenuating circumstances. They might have got behind on some things, so they're selling for those reasons. But whatever the case is, there's a lot of equity in homes, and we have sites that you can go to and see how much my home is worth in order to know if your home does have equity in it. But most homes all across the nation has, equity in it at this point.
Okay, and those sites that you go to, how accurate are they? Because at the end of the day, it's still about market value within a 3-mile radius of your home.
So,
and inside your neighborhood, then it works its way out.
Right. So what happens is all the sites are pretty accurate as much as possible. But again, it's things that agents, brokers that we do on the inside, like you're saying, as far as the mile radius, because you have to get as close as you can to what the appraiser would do. And so you don't want to just guesstimate. You want to put in distance. You want to put in homes that closed in the last 90 days. It's things that we do that site is not going to do, but it's going to give you an average.
Okay. Well, we'd like to take some callers. The call-in line is 770-485-7724. That's 770-485-7724. Please call in, and maybe we may be able to give you a gift towards closing costs or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But 770-485-7724. So we're looking for callers. Anything that you want to know about real estate, because we have the real estate gurus sitting at the table together. Okay. Now, another question I have for you, because it's fascinating to me, because when I got in real estate in 1986, the interest rate was 10.5%. And there wasn't any creative situations. If you didn't have 10% or 20% down, you couldn't buy a house. Sellers weren't paying your closing costs. It was tough, So I've watched this business evolve all the way down to in the 90s when they came up with the 100% concepts and the 125s and the 150, and that's what caused us to get into the crash in 2008 because of the toxic real estate. And so I've seen the market go the other way. So I've kind of seen a lot. And what a lot of people don't realize is the interest rate is tied into the stock market.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't realize that. But with that being said, is this a good time to buy investment property?
It's always a good time. So the reason it's a good time now as far as investment property is the interest rate, as you just spoke about. We don't know how long this rate is going to last. No one has an hourglass to figure that out. But the interest rates are very low. And so even with investments, if you are savvy with, refurbishing homes or however you do it, if you have a team, then it's still a great market to get an investment property. A lot of people are getting in Airbnbs right now, doing the properties and rehabbing them for Airbnb. So, just whatever your desire is and what your reach is as far as having someone to come in and do the work, or some people are savvy enough to do the work themselves.
Well, that would be in a invest and keep situation. What about an invest and flip situation?
It's still the same thing. So just depending on how low you can get it. So there's still some diamonds in the rough. So you can still find them. It's just they may not be as lucrative as they have been in the past. So people still talking about foreclosures. There's still a few foreclosures out here, but not like it was before.
So what I gather out of this is that you're the expert. So please call and ask for Juanita at J.C. Bradford Realty. During our commercial breaks, you'll see her phone number and how to get a hold of her. She has extensive knowledge, over 20 years in the business.
Correct.
So you're in good hands. But my concern is, again, been around this so long, is that with property being sold over the value, okay, as we get control of COVID and the market comes back and the moratorium is lifted, my projection is, oh, we got a caller. Let's see what we got here. But I ain't gonna forget that question.
Okay.
Hello, caller. You've reached Ask Coach Roy. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach Roy, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So my question for Miss Washington Bradford is, I have a townhome, and it's a 3-story townhome, and my basement is not finished. So if I finish it, who determines how much my home is worth if I wanted to put it up for sale?
What did you say at the beginning?
She got a townhome and it has an unfinished basement. And if she were to put it up for sale, who determines how much it's worth? Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. So again, that will come back to the appraiser, but the area, as long as your area is holding the value, and like I said, right now in this market, most homes are, you have equity in the home. You don't want to finish it to the point that you're over, what am I saying? That you're overdoing it, you know, but you want to finish it so that you can get that money out, because most people do want a finished basement versus one that's not finished, but one unfinished right now, you're still getting your money. So it depends on your area, is what drives your price. So if you have homes around you, townhomes around you, and they've already finished their basement and they're closing within the last 90 days, and that's what the price of your home would probably be around.
Okay. And a lot of the townhomes that are around me that have basements, I think only one of them is finished, and the other ones have been selling. Actually, they'll go on the market and they'll sell within the next at least 5 to 10 days.
Yes. And so are they around the price point that you're wanting to get?
I actually purchased mine already. I don't plan on moving anytime soon, but they're getting at least, they probably paid maybe $265 for their homes. The last one that just got sold was a little above $300, so like $309, $310.
And then, so if you can finish yours within, say, $40,000-$50,000, which it just depends on the square footage, and then, you know, whoever the contractor is, then now you have that equity as far as that 309, so you'll be up there with that home. And is that one? That one is finished, right? The 309.
No, that one actually is not finished.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's not even finished.
Yeah, so you have equity already. So yeah.
And I want to reiterate what she's telling you, because a lot of times when people finish their basement in order to make a sale and get more money, do not finish the basement as if you're going to be there. Minimize the tile work and the cost of finishing that basement. Don't run it up like you're going to live there, because you're not going to get dollar for dollar based on what you put in the basement, if that makes sense to you. Because you know, finishing a basement could be as low as $40,000, or it could be $140,000, depending on what you decide to do with the floors, put in hardwoods and different things of that nature.
Ceramic tile.
Yeah, so ceramic tile, so it could get quite extensive, and then you have a bathroom down there. You can overdo it in the bathroom. So just go basic.
Okay. I appreciate that.
All right, did we answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, congratulations on your home.
Thank you for calling in.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I've known people to overdo it.
Yes. So now we're going to go to a break.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to go to break. And again, we have Miss Juanita Bradford with J.C. Bradford Realty. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to Ask Coach Roy. And again, I'm here with Miss Juanita Bradford with JC Bradford Realty, multi-level, multi-million-dollar producer in the Atlanta and surrounding area. And speaking of area, I'd like to ask you, is area important? Because people always say location, location, location when you talk about real estate. So is area important?
Yes, area is important if you're buying to eventually sell. Some people want to buy to be around closer to their family, so they may go out further. There are some people that would like to live closer to the city. And so when you're talking about living closer to the city, then you're talking about less square footage possibly, and the price point might change drastically. So location is important. Some people want to be closer to the highway, so when you start talking about going out north, say the Gwinnett area, then they want to be closer to the highway because you want to have good access to get back to the city faster. So location is always important, but just know that your price point is going to be different depending on the location.
Okay. So location is still important in real estate. Another thing I'd like to know, do you manage commercial property?
Yes, I have managed commercial property. I've also helped people get into commercial buildings. It's not something that we do all the time, but we're capable of doing commercial, residential, whatever we need to do.
And you can
It's a full
list and
service.
sell commercial property.
List and sell.
Okay, good.
Yes.
You all around. Coach gonna put you in the game.
Yeah, we full circle. Yes, we
That's
are.
right. So another thing is, how do you assist real estate investors?
Most investors that contact us, they say they want to be in a certain location, and then at that point we go in and we look and see what homes are available with the price point that they give us, because at the time they may say, hey, I need to get this amount, I need to have a home in this price point or whatever, because I want to do this and the other with it. Some investors buy it, like you said earlier, to flip, and then some buy it to keep it for wealth building for the family, generational wealth. So it just depends on what the investor says that they want, but we have an extensive MLS. We have two that we work with, Georgia MLS and FMLS, and so we just go in our system, and then sometimes it's just word of mouth through some of our other agents, brokers that we speak with, that we might, be able to do a collaboration with.
Okay, you hit a hot spot with me.
Okay.
Real estate has changed over the years.
Yes, it has. And still
when
changing.
you said FMLS and Georgia MLS.
Yes.
When I got into business, we didn't have buyer broker agreements.
Correct.
And as a result of that, people would use 2 and 3 agents. So people would double back and write an offer on a house that you showed them. So you would have to go to court and prove that you were the agent that deserved the commission because of procuring calls.
Yes.
And I won quite a few of those battles.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but when they tighten it up and start making them sign the agreement up front and things of that nature, but to be honest with you, there are still people that even though they sign that agreement, they will call another agent, start dealing with them, don't even tell them about your agreement.
Correct.
And then get all the way to the wire and don't know which agent they're going to use. So I guess my question to you is,
What do you do?
explain to our audience
Yes.
why that's not a good decision, as well as explain to them the accessibility you have to everything that's on the market.
Yes.
So there's no need to talk to another agent.
And we all have the same ability to find the homes, but again, it comes back to relationship. And the way that I like to work is I'm forefront with it. It's a business, and so therefore, if it was you, you wouldn't want to go and work and not get paid. So it's the same with us. And so with that being said, we do the buyer brokerage agreement. We do the seller's listing agreement. And with that being said, it's just a relationship. And so that's why I get my lenders involved. I get my inspectors involved, and everybody that you need, our company has that. And so once you have that relationship and then you're working and you're talking with the buyer, then they understand that there's a relationship, and then they probably won't veer out. And most of the business, like I said, a lot of times too, it could come from a referral. So if it comes from a referral, that could be a family member, that could be a coworker, different things of that nature. So when that happens, then what you want to do is just make sure that you're staying in contact with the person that put you in their hands. And so you want to make sure that they're getting what they need, but also at the time, making sure that you're talking back and forth to them. Because if you lose contact, it's fair game. And so people are gonna go out there and maybe possibly go somewhere else, but
they
we
need
just
to
stay in
understand that
contact.
they are binded. They can be sued.
They can be sued, absolutely.
And at the
And we
end
do
of the
sue.
day, at the end of the day, the property that they go out and look at with someone else through this phone or your computer, you have access to the same properties.
Exactly.
So it's not like this other person is doing something that you can't do.
Correct.
And that's the thing that I think our viewers need to understand. Your agent, whoever that may be at that time, have access to every property all down in South Georgia.
Correct.
And the truth of the matter, they have access to property in other states.
Yes.
So there's no need to veer out. If you tell the agent what you want, they put it in the system, the houses pop up, you tell them what side of town, but you gotta be, first of all, you gotta qualify for that amount of house. And you gotta be realistic, you know. So you can't say you want to live in a certain neighborhood knowing that the houses are 800,000-900,000 and you only qualify for 500,000. They're not giving houses away.
No, and the first thing we do is once we make the phone call and you get the phone call and someone say, hey, I'm ready to buy a home, then you say, hey, well, let me get you with my lender. And then, you know, you give them the lenders and then they choose which one they want to go with. And at that point, the lender does what's called a pre-qualification. And then once you get the pre-qualification, then now you know they can buy that amount of home. Then you say, okay, I want to keep going because you want to get them qualified, especially in this market. In this market, you have no time to play if you want to win. Because if you're talking about pre-qualification and qualification, that's two different things.
Okay. Let me ask you another question here. Tax sales. How does tax sales work in the state of Georgia? I was licensed in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and I realized that it works different in different states. So how does the tax sales work in the state of Georgia? Because a lot of people ask about tax sales, saying that they can go to the courthouse and just buy a house at the tax sale. How does that work?
And you can. The different counties, they have a certain day of the month that they have the homes that all they're trying to do is get the property tax off of the home. The back taxes. They may not have a mortgage on the home anymore. It's just the taxes that's due. So when it goes on the courthouse steps, you be there and you can either have your financing or you can have cash, whatever you're trying to do, however you're trying to do it. But you purchase it right on the courthouse steps and that's it.
Okay, so they don't have, like in South and North Carolina, when you buy those homes at the courthouse steps, you're basically paying the back taxes.
Correct.
They have 2 years to pay you the money back plus 8% interest. It doesn't work like that here in Georgia?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, okay. Just want to be sure. Because in some states, they allow them to pay you the money back plus 8%. But if you don't do it at that 2-year mark, then it transfers to that person.
Correct.
And it's a certain type of title. It's another step you have to take too.
Correct.
I forget all that. But you can get some good situations because sometimes the siblings are not going to move back to this area, and it may be one sibling here who don't care about the property anymore.
Or they may live out of country or out of town, and
Yes.
so they may not want to come back, so they just let it go. So that's how it gets to tax sale. And so if it happens that way and it goes back to the courthouse steps, that's it, pretty much.
And also that's with lots as well.
Land lots, yes.
Land lots. Okay, so tax sales, and then also, let's talk about lenders. I know that there are lenders that do the low interest rate, lenders that do the high interest rate. Sometimes we call them hard money lenders. But in dealing with lenders, what do you advise your client to do? To go to the lender
Well,
in
it
the
depends
beginning?
on the situation. Well, all of them have to go in the beginning because you don't work unless you know that they can qualify. So everybody thinks that they can qualify, but until they go to the lender, you don't know that they can qualify. So that is the very first step. You know, you can have your conversation, your buyer's consultation, your seller's consultation, whatever you're doing, but at the same time as you're educating them, then you're making sure that they go to the lender, and the lender can say, hey, I see your open file, and you know, everything looks good or it does not look good and you need to do this, and it may take a period where they get them, you know, together. There are different types of lenders. So some lenders might have what's called a 100% program. Some might have, like you said earlier, the 10% down or 5% down. There are loans where they have the FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. But there are a lot of different loans out there, different lenders, banks, mortgage companies, all have different programs. And then there are credit unions that have programs for veterans. And so you might go to, say, Navy Federal Credit Union, you might go to USAA or whoever, and they may have a program at that time where you're not paying any money down if you are using your VA loan. If you're using another type loan, which they have those loans as well, then you're going to pay the percentage down. But they may be running a special where you don't have an appraisal cost. So it's just different lenders offer different things. With the 100% down, if you have a debt ratio, income amount, then you can get some 100% loans. And some of them you have to pay back, or some you have to just stay in the house for 5 years or 8 years. It just depends.
Okay. Well, you kind of went into an area that we were going to talk about later, but we're going to dig on in.
Okay.
Okay. You know, when you start talking about loans, the reason you have to have someone, and I've talked to you a lot about real estate, a lot about mortgages, the different programs that are out here, and you're very knowledgeable about the mortgage process. So one of the things I like about Miss Juanita is that you're not just getting an agent, a friend, you're getting a counselor, you're getting a she brings the total package. You're getting really, the truth of the matter is she knows more about mortgages than any agent I've met in a long time. And so, you know, one of the things you have to understand, everybody's situation is different. And if I had someone, or if you had someone, I'm out of the business, but if you had someone that had the money to put 20% down on a conventional loan, tell them why it's best to do that if they can afford to, and or just tell them why you would have them to put the 20%. What would they avoid?
Well, the lender, because I'm the real estate broker, but the lender would have them to do the 20% down because they would avoid what's called PMI. And with
Absolutely.
the PMI, that's just an extra payment that you're going to have because, like I said earlier about the VA funding fee, it's pretty much the same thing. On the VA, it's a funding fee. On the conventional loan, it's PMI, private mortgage insurance. And so it's insurance to say, hey, you're going to pay this payment. And until you get under the 20%, then this is why you pay that payment, right?
Now, the thing of it is, one of the difference between the two is that the VA is only 1%.
Right, and and the VA is backing it.
And the VA is backing it. But that PMI is, I think, about 3%. In other words, a PMI payment could be $200 or $300
Correct.
added on to the principal and interest of your mortgage
Of
payment.
your mortgage, exactly.
And that don't have anything to do with the taxes and insurance.
That's a whole nother.
Yes. So
payment.
putting that 20% down, depending on the loan amount, could save you $200 or $300 a month.
Correct.
Now you're saving $3,600 a year times however many years it take you to get the house down to 80% of the value. And at that point, you could have spent $100,000 or better. So that's why the 20% down,
Is
if you can
important.
afford it, is really important.
And then some have it where at a certain point the PMI is forgiven. So again, it depends on the loan. It depends on the loan programs that they're running. And it depends on, like I said, just talking to your lender and knowing what you're going to talk to your lender about. Most lenders are going to explain all those different programs to you, so you'll have an idea. But you have to also let them know your situation and what you're trying to do.
Correct. So again, we're taking callers, 770-485-7724. Call in while we have Miss Juanita Bradford with J.C. Bradford Realty here, and she could answer any of your questions. She understands all facets of the real estate industry and finance. Okay. Now, another thing that always fascinated me about real estate, the art of the deal, the creative side of the business, the different ways there are to tie up property, and when you're doing investments, you could do situations like you could do situations like go out and find an investment deal, put the deposit down, tie the property up, ask for 60 days to close, and go out and find an investor to seal the deal, and you just charge the investor $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000. But you could only do that if you already got investors that you're dealing with.
Exactly.
And
Already lined up.
you put little things on the for sale contract like Roy Washington and or a sign. And we've had those conversations, so it's a lot of different ways to be creative.
It's a lot of different ways to be creative with offers and contracts. And so the thing is, it's just having the knowledge, working with the broker, lender, agent that is knowledgeable on the different ways to do the programs, the contracts or the offers. Again, it's like just deciding where you want to go with it. If you're doing it for wealth building, if you're doing it for investment, for flipping property, if you're doing it to live in it, you just have to decide, and you have to tell them what you're doing. There are some loans also that don't allow you to purchase a home and not live in it. So you also have to know, again, the lender's going to say, hey, you got to move in this house 30, 45 days, and so you can come and say, hey, I want to buy a house. I'm not moving in it for 6 months. You can't do that because you're borrowing money. So you're signing on the dotted line saying, hey, I'll move in 30 to 45 days. So you have to stick to those guidelines.
Well, you know what? As you were saying that, I was sitting here thinking, when you first talk to a first-time home buyer, we hadn't touched on that, but we will touch on the first-time home buyer in the next segment. But the first-time home buyer, the questions they ask is always, what type of programs are out there? And what they don't realize is that depending on the program, which county, which city, rural development, whatever the case may be, they don't realize that you may not be able to sell that home for 10 years. If you do, you have to split the profit with the municipality that's backing this loan.
Correct.
So, but what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and pick up on that. We got to do what we got to do now to pay the bills. Okay, welcome back to Ask Coach Roy. We're running out of time. We have Ms. Juanita Bradford with J.C. Bradford Realty here. Please give her a call at 678-517-0413. Ms. Bradford here, what would you like to tell our audience in reference to what do they need to do to get started?
To get started, you mainly need to find your agent, which would probably be me or someone in my company. And then I would, at that time, get you with one of the lenders, and then you get pre-qualified. Once you get pre-qualified, then the process gets started. We have some other things that we'll do at that time to make sure that you're staying focused and making sure that all your documents line up to get ready to purchase.
Okay, very well, very well. I tell you, it's always a pleasure talking with you about real estate.
Yes.
Because you know, in my mind, I tell people all the time, put Donald Trump in that seat. I understand the business better than him. Nobody gave me $1 million. I had to go through the school of hard knocks.
Hard knocks.
So did you.
Yes. That's what we do.
But it's always a pleasure. And what we would like to do, we are probably going to do session 2. We will let you know in session 2 because there are some things that we didn't get to, because we want you to be able to have home ownership regardless of your situation. It doesn't matter whether you had a lot of money, whether you have no money. We have creative situations to work with you, and Miss Juanita will be able to get you in a home. Yes. We may have to take 2-3 people, combine their incomes together. We could do a mother, a child, so on and so forth. Everyone in America deserves home ownership.
Amen.
So, Juanita, you have anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I just said I would like for you to give us a call and let us talk with you and see what your situation is, because everyone does have a different situation, and we love to help you if it's possible for us to do that. At J.C. Bradford, we're a boutique firm, but we love helping everyone get into a home. And so if you have someone that's selling, someone purchasing, whatever the case may be, please give us a call. And I have 2 numbers. One is 470-650-4222 or 678-517-0413. And again, just give us a call and we'll see how we can help you get into your home.
Okay. Well, please tune in next week. We're going to have Building Business Credit with Mr. Greg Armstrong. And that is something that we need to learn as small business owners. Mm-hmm. You can actually build your business credit and not have to use your Social Security number. And if you could do that and purchase your cars and certain things under that, then when you call Miss Juanita, you will not affect your debt-to-income ratio.
Yes, correct.
So that's one of the perfect things.
It all works together.
It all works together. Mm-hmm. So for the small business owners, entrepreneurs, or what have you, you have the ability to eliminate having bad debt-to-income ratio. And also that gives you the opportunity to restore your credit if you have credit issues as well. Mm-hmm. And then on that note, we also, if you've noticed the advertisement with Ms. Juanita with J.C. Bradford Realty, you've noticed the athletes get recruited. One of the things we do, or I do, my son and I, is we help student athletes understand, and their parents understand, the NCAA clearinghouse so that we can get them in school. So again, we've enjoyed this session. We're going to do part 2. So stay tuned, look out for it. Ask Coach Roy. We will be on every Monday at 7 p.m., 7 to 8 at TV 1061. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.